Hi everybody, it's Chris the Blind Wood Turner again. Lovely and sunny here in Manchester. Anyway, as promised, I'm going to show you the shop today, so without further ado. There it is. Catch you next week. Okay everybody, this is the real start to the shop tour. That was a bit of fun before and it was all Charlie's fault, so blame him.
Oh.
Nah, it was good. It was good. Good idea, son. Right, before I get started, I'd like to say thank you to, again, everyone that's subscribed, and it's 200 and how many, Charlie?
80 odd, I think.
280 odd, okay. That's absolutely amazing, and again, lovely comments. Now, some people have left some suggestions and things. One that springs to mind was, I think it was from Skunk Tree Works or Skunk Tree Woodworks, something like that. And he said, you know, he's loving the videos, but we need to get a good tripod. So we've ordered one this morning, so the tripod will be used on the next video, so that should steady things up. And also someone left a comment that I should really have the sleeves pulled up on my turning smock when he was watching the wand episode. So I mean, the Velcro tabs on the wrists were fastened. Now the thing that I'm bothered about is if my sleeves are up and I'm getting a load of sawdust and shavings on my arms. The problem with me being blind is if that sort of like tickles or itches, my mind's gonna not be on turning wood but on this irritant that's on my arm. So it's a good idea. I am going to give it a go, but I think it might be a bit distracting for me, so I'd rather have my sleeves down and tightened at the wrist. I'd like to say thank you to Robbie the Wood Turner over in Ireland. He's been giving me some great comments and support. I've subscribed to Robbie for quite a while and we have spoke in the past, so thank you very much, Robbie. And also I'd like to not only thank, but what I'm going to do is dedicate this video to Brendan, who goes by Bacon Soda. Now you all talk about him and you all know who he is and you've been mithering him to, you know, start up the videos again. Well, I was listening to a couple of his videos this morning and he mentioned in one of them where he was roughing down some blanks for Carl Jacobson, you know, how nervous and anxious he was to be actually turning on videos, you know, with live camera work. You know, I've got to take my hat off to you there, Brendan, because, you know, working while you're anxious or nervous, I know exactly what it feels like. You know, I deal with that all day, every day. You know, when I'm turning on this lathe, excuse my French, but I am crapping myself. But I have to push myself all the time. So keep going, mate. You're doing a fantastic job. And also, he mentioned again when he was doing some little pegs for his friend's chair, he gave me a right good mention, and he was explaining all the critical dimensions and things like that. You know, absolutely amazing. And you know what we've been talking about, not giving up and things like that. If I have inspired you, Brendan, you know, I'm so happy about that. You know, you're sort of like biting the bullet and getting back on with the wood turning, and it sounds to me like you're doing a fantastic job. You know, the only advice I can give you, if things are just getting a bit ahead of you, stop what you're doing, walk away, go and have a cup of tea, or like I do, listen to some music, forget about it. You know, if the anxiety is getting too much, walk away. But like I say, this video is dedicated to Brendan. It means a lot to me, Brendan, what you've said, and you know, you're inspiring by conquering your little anxieties and worries. Sorry about the truck noise. So what we'll do now is I'll carry on and describe what tools I've got and gadgets and things like that. Right, guys and gals, first thing I want to just show you, it's my compressor. It's a JCB model, not massive capacity, 24 litres, just your single regulator, your single outlet, works off, you know, your typical 1/4 inch BSP fitting. I've got the airline connected, but hung up at the back of the garage there somewhere. It's got all the accessories, you know, the spray gun, the paraffin tool for degreasing things. It's got a tyre inflator, all sort of like the run-of-the-mill stuff that you seem to get. So that's my compressor. Dead happy with it. It does the job fine. Moving on, pillar drill. It's by Axminster. Now, the reason why I went for this model was, you know, it seemed to have everything that I needed. You know, the quick stop there, and it's got a depth setting, and more importantly for me, it's got a keyless chuck, so it's one less thing to be finding. You know, quick operation, can change my drill bits, you know, rack and pinion, height adjustment, and obviously that's the vice clamp. Variable speed, usual belt and pulley setup. Not really much I can say more about it. It's a great little drill. So that was from Axminster. And any tool names that I mentioned today, I'm not getting paid by them. I'm just telling you where I bought them, and you know, it is what it is. So if we move along a bit here, kick all this wood that's just fallen out of the way. Okay, now this is my lathe. It's a Record Power, and it's the model, I think it's a DML 36 SH cam. Now the 36, that applies to the distance between the centres, 36 inches. SH is swivel head, so this obviously rotates across, so you can turn larger diameter bowls, because it's not got a very big capacity there as is for bowls, and also it slides up and down along the bed. It's a great little lathe. Now you would build this as a starter lathe, or you know, maybe an intermediate. So it's been really good. It's reliable, it's solid, it's heavy. You know, Record Power, you know, seem to have put some fair time and effort into the design of it, and it's solid, so it should last a fair while. It's got a Nova G3 chuck, and it came with 3 sets of jaws. So as of yet, the chuck and the jaws, you know, are doing everything that I'm asking of it. And just over here I've got a plastic storage box that's got just odds and sods and screw hooks and eyes and various fittings and things like that. Nothing really spectacular. That's the box that the chuck is in, and this is actually it's
a weapon.
It's not a weapon. it's a mallet that I made. Really happy with it. I like the feel. So it's a woodworker's mallet, and I made that, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up at all, will it, Charlie? But it's.
I'm zooming in.
But I used this to practice my texturing technique and some wood burning. So it's effective. It does work. Made out of ash. So if we move along here now, I've got on this racking all sorts of bits and bobs, some Halloween stuff, and on this second shelf I've got a selection of wood dyes. I've got, let's just feel that, that's my wood glue, Titebond 2. In that bottle I've got my sanding sealer mix, and it's the recipe that Mike Waltz uses. So it's sanding sealer and cellulose thinners mix, and it works really well. So thanks for that, Mike. And now, when I've been talking to Brendan via email, Brendan explained that he's a mathematician, and I was explaining to him how being blind, I count everything. I'm always counting, and by half nine at night, I'm thoroughly shot because my brain's counting steps that I take. If I go down the drive, you know, I'm counting and pacing and counting. So one thing I do want to show Brendan is if I can just have a feel on here. Now, one of the gadgets that's available to blind people, it's called a pen friend. It's not for karaoke or based in a turkey. Basically, it's a voice recording device that recognises unique self-adhesive labels that have a specific code. So if I went to this can of wood dye and turn this pen friend on, and that beep tells me that it's on, if I just have a feel where the label is there then, and put this to the label, Light Oak. Now the pen friend said Light Oak. So obviously you need help by a sighted person to tell you what's in the tin, but once you've helped you do that and you put your label on and recorded the message, that's it, you're pretty independent then. You can find stuff. So the reason why I've done the wood dyes is all the tins are identical, but they have obviously a different shade or colour in them. So I did need to label them up. Although if things are put in order, and I did have them in order of light oak, going to rosewood, going to walnut, going to dark oak, I can remember that, and as long as people don't move them, you know, I'll always be selecting the right thing. But there is a chance that they can be moved, so it's better to do that. I'll just turn this off, and that tone denotes that it's off. Things that are very unique in shape. The Titebond, that's a distinctive bottle shape for me. My friction polish, I know that that's a distinctive shape. The sanding sealer, I know that that's a distinctive shape. So in a funny way, I haven't got a clue where anything is in this garage, but ironically I know exactly where everything is, and it's partly due to the fact that I haven't been blind my whole life, and you have what's called a memory map. So if you've got a good memory, and I think being blind can improve your memory, you've got a good chance of finding stuff. So I know that I've got clamps here and a clamp there, that's my framing square. I know that on the back wall I've got my saw and my spirit level. I've got a selection of fastenings and fixings and screws. Over in this corner on the top shelf I've got my orbital sander and a selection of discs. On the very top I've got my router. Lower down there's a huge selection of paints and car cleaning products and all sorts of junk really, but you know, from time to time you need that sort of stuff. Here I've got a workbench. What's that? Oh, that's
Metallica.
Oh yeah. You get that, Charlie?
Yep.
Metallica. Don't tread on me. So here I've got my workbench, some sawhorses, a piece of chipboard, sort of like the flooring, the tongue and groove flooring. That's what I made them shelves out of, over in that corner. Some offcuts of MDF and some offcuts at the back of some plywood. Things that are left over from projects but can come in really handy, so don't throw them away. And then we move on here to my table saw. It's an Einhell, which is a German make, so it's a budget saw, but it's worked well for me. And of course I'd love, you know, a big a big posh table saw, but I haven't got the room for one, and I don't really use it all the time. But one thing that I did build was the table saw sled. Now, I listened to Steve Ramsey's video and sort of like got the gist of it. Now, what I have to do with when I listen to any tutorials on YouTube, not only do I have to sort of like listen to it and absorb it, but I have to listen to it many times, and I'm talking 30-40 times, and I'll build up a picture in my mind, and hopefully the picture that I end up on that 30th or 40th time of listening to something, hopefully it'll be pretty close to what the original tutorial was all about. Now, that's like one of the videos that Brendan did with the pegs, and he was describing everything, and he mentioned that's why it's important really that you can give as much information orally as you can, because it really does help me to remember things, build up a picture, and then I can have a go at building something. So it's a table saw sled. It works really well, keeps all my hands out of the way, they're not anywhere near the blade. The box at the back, it's another safety measure, so it works really well. And on here it says, there we go, that's my vernier. So using my talking tape measure that people heard in the magic wand video, I can pull out the tape, then set the vernier to that measurement, and then I can use the vernier on a project on the lathe, or the old-fashioned calipers, the spring calipers. Another thing that I've recently bought here, now this is called, I think it was called a Joint Genie. Now it's a jig for doing dowel joints. So basically what you would do is, if I can just give a demonstration here, this would sit on top, you'd swing that end bracket down there, you'd move these spacing tabs to the thickness, the right thickness of the wood that you want, and then you'd line it up in the middle obviously before you set the tab, sorry I forgot to mention that, and then you can drill in these holes, and then if you just flip the jig over to a corresponding piece of wood and drill the same holes at the same spaces, your dowels will align absolutely perfectly. So I need to have more of a mess with that, but I thought it was a really good thing for the visually impaired to use. So, you know, if you want to start building big chests or boxes and you're losing your sight and you're thinking that dovetails might be a bit too much for you, using dowels as a method of construction, obviously it's going to be far stronger for butt joints and things like that. So it was a good addition, and I will build more stuff with it. Another good thing that I like, it's a magnetic wristband. So basically this will go on there like so, and then if I just find something, I think there's a couple of drill bits here. Obviously it's magnetic, really handy if you're sort of like doing some work and you need to screw something up, rather than putting things down and losing them and not being able to find them. I can just put loads of screws or tacks or pins or nails, chuck keys, anything. Really handy. It stops me putting things down and having to tap around and bounce around trying to find things. Another thing that I've not had for too long, it's a beeping spirit level. So again, anybody that's losing the sight, got poor vision, things like that, there is something out there to help you. What you would do is you would turn the spirit level on, you put it on the flat surface, and then that beep means that it's calibrated itself to that level surface, and then whenever you're using it elsewhere, it will remember obviously what's horizontal, and obviously you could set it for a vertical datum, and it does have an LCD display there as well if you're able to read it. Another thing that I struggle with is just something very easy, putting a nail in. So it's a Boss Stitch, and it's a pneumatic palm nailer. So 1/4 inch BSP fitting, connects onto the end of the airline, and then you put your nail in there. It's magnetic, so it holds it in place, and then you just present this to the wood, and the palm nailer detects that, and it goes bang 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 and fires it in. So I'm not trying to swing a hammer, missing the nail, hitting my thumb, the nail's flying out of the wall. It's just chaos that way for me. So another, and not dear as well. It was only, I think, £20 or just over that. Incredible. So if you've got a compressor and you'd like to have a go at one of them instead of banging away with a hammer, really good piece of kit. Over on that side there's a lot of decorating junk, and over there I've actually got an 18 gauge nail gun, which is really good. I built a garden trellis, and it just makes things so much easier and faster. One of the very first tombstones that I made for the haunt is over there. I made that with Dean, my support worker, so that's had some good use. And then moving further along here, I've got a Record Power 8-inch grinder. Obviously it's got the aluminium oxide wheel on the left, and it's also got a jig for sharpening my turning tools. Now this jig, I bought it off a chap off eBay, and it was cheap, really, considering how well it works for me. Obviously, again, you know, you have the Wolverine systems and the True Grind, but I couldn't afford one of them. So this chap is a retired engineer but a wood turner, so he makes these. Obviously you have the pocket here for putting your roughing gouges in. There's a locking nut there so you can secure it in place once you've found the correct angle, and you spin that round. And it also comes supplied with this attachment, you know, for your fingernail gouges and spindle gouges for getting the sweep. So I've put the recommended 2-inch space there, so you've probably all seen how you'd put your gouge in there, tighten it up, put it in there, and then obviously you're doing your sweep. Now I think a jig like this, it's a must for anybody, let alone someone that can't see. You know, makes it a whole lot safer. You have the accuracy, you can repeat the process over and over and over again. So it's a great grinder. Very intimidating because it's high speed, but again, just be really careful. Always wear eye protection, take your time, and if you're feeling a bit freaked out, just turn it off and walk away. Another workshop essential over here, you've got me tea and coffee and some powdered milk.
Don't forget the kettle.
On the kettle, can't forget the kettle. Being British, obviously, I need about 15 gallon of tea to keep me going throughout the day. So yeah, I'm a right tea belly, if you can't tell. Underneath I've got, in fact, just for safety so I don't bang my head on that, just push that out of the way. Underneath I've got an angle grinder here. I've got a heavy duty staple gun. I've got a screwdriver assortment in that one. This one is a socket set. I've got a drinking water can for topping the kettle up. To the left of that I have my cordless screwdriver drill in there. And on the top I've just got some tape and twine and things. And then over, oh, let's just have a feel up here. The latest edition, circular saw. Love it. I'm going to build, there's a lot of tutorials on at the moment for building tracks for circular saws, so you know, you get a safe, consistent line all the time. So I'm going to build myself a track out of some MDF and some timber, so that'll make using that a lot safer. At the minute what I've been using is an aluminium straight edge and clamping that down, but one of them tracks sounds really good, so we'll get around to making one of them in a few weeks. And then now we're on to my little bandsaw. It's again Axminster. Now the reason why I've started buying Axminster stuff is they've got a superstore nearby in Warrington, and it's about a 20-minute drive. The beauty of it is I can go and I can get my hands on everything because it's all built up, it's all in the showroom. The staff there are amazing, you know, really helpful. But for me it's important to get my hands on and have a feel, and then I can make a quick decision if I've got the room for it in the garage. You know, is it going to be big enough for what I require? So this, it's classed as their hobby line, so it's entry level stuff, but it's got pretty good features. It's got, obviously, I'll just move that out of the way. You know, it's only got a thin blade on it at the moment. I haven't measured it, but it's
thin.
It's thin, yeah. It's got the safety switches on the door, so if they opened by accident, the blade will stop rotating. It's powerful enough. Now it has cut through big lumps of ash, and all I do is just take my time, push it through nice and slowly, don't overwork the motor, and I get there. If it takes 15 minutes, it takes 15 minutes. I've got a kettle, I'll be stood here with a cup of tea, having a rest, push it through a bit more, stop, another swig of tea, just keep going like that. So I'm really happy with it, and I haven't got room for a big thing. It's doing the job. I'm really pleased. At the end here I've got some more timber just off cuts that people give me. I find a use for, especially with Halloween coming up and building some stuff. I can't really just get my bearings now. iPod and speaker dock.
They're essential.
They are essential, Charlie, you're right. Have some tunes going on gently in the background while I'm working away. Love my music, it's a massive part of my life, especially even more so now that I can't see. And in fact, while I'm on the subject of Halloween a second ago, and they are sort of like wood turner related, these things. If you can just carefully have a look. Now this is a prop that I've made. It's a vampire killing kit. If you can get a look at that. So these are sort of like some of the props that I make and sell. Now it's hand turned mallet and vampire stake, and they have real leather grips and wristbands, and it comes with a red piece of satin up there, and I've made a simulated stone effect, and it's got up there somewhere, there it is, a brass plaque of the fictional vampire hunter who creates all these things. So obviously I'm showing you that because it's another big passion of mine, Halloween and horror, but wood turning related. So it's things like that I make and sell, and I'm not doing too bad. And I've sold things to filmmakers in Scotland and lots of horror fans and people that have haunts. So I'm doing all right. So basically, folks, that's it. It's not a massive workshop. Like I say, in my mind I know where everything is, but sometimes it can take a while to pin it down, but I roughly know where it is. Oh, one other thing, Charlie, I've not showed you this. This is where that top drawer's broken, but in here, I don't know if you can see in there, Charlie, that's where at the moment I keep all my turning tools. So it wouldn't really matter where they were, because I can't just look and go, oh yeah, there's my spindle gouge, there's my parting tool. Even if they were all in a nice rack, I'd have to grab one and have a feel. So it doesn't really make any difference if they're in a drawer or not. I still have to feel to find out what it is. So I have all my turning tools just in there in the top drawer. Second drawer down, I have all my abrasives. Third drawer down, odds and sods, some spanners, centre finder. I will show you how I use a centre finder, but obviously I don't use a pencil because I can't see the line that it leaves. So I scribe lines, so I can just feel where those lines intersect. And then in the bottom one, I've got a couple of odds and sods, but that's where I've got my bry wax in there for polishing. So back up to me, son. That's pretty much it. Other bits and bobs all hung up in the garage, and if Charlie has a little bit of a pan round, you'll be able to see I've got some tools and clamps hanging from the ceiling. Make sure you get the ceiling, Charlie. Just show people. Some more goggles and a square there, and got bits all over the place, but it works for me. And if I had a bigger garage, I'd have everything laid out. You know, I'd love a garage like Mike Walt's got. You know, that's amazing. It's, you know, something to work on anyway, that's for sure. If I get a good lottery win, most definitely I'd get a, you know, a purpose-made workshop and have everything ideally suited. But it works for me at the moment, and I am used to it, and I've got a good memory map. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's...
Hold on. I don't know if you can see under here, but there is a lot of wood just there.
Oh, the wood, yeah. Under here, yeah, good spot that, Charlie. Under here I've got all sort of like offcuts of wood and pieces of broom handles, brush stales. They come in handy for turning some wands. I got a job lot of cheap hardwood stair spindles from B&Q. Offcuts of all sorts. We've got some mahoganies and some oak, pine, odds and sods. And then just at the end here, Charlie, I don't know if you can see, but this is a box of wood that Mike Walt gave me to bring home. So thanks, Mike, really appreciate that. It's got some ash in there, and I think he said some cherry, so I will be doing some projects with them. So is there anything else, Charlie, you can think of, or do you think we've got most things covered there?
Everything's covered. That's Frank.
That's Frank. Oh, Charlie's on about this fella in the corner. That's Frank, and he hangs over the haunt sign on Halloween, so he basically welcomes everybody. It's Frank, and that's a zombie baby I've made. Hello, hello, how you doing? Hey, Brendan. Hey, Mike. So I don't know why exactly a zombie baby would speak like that. Probably something more like that, but anyhow. That's it now. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. So thanks for tuning in. Please rate, comment and subscribe. Many thanks to everybody that's subscribed, commented, is watching the videos. The next video will be a wood turning project. I'll get back on with the wood turning, and I'll catch you all again. Bye.